Well, there are all types of indications. I think when the president of an organization asks the staff to be someplace and they're not, then there's an evident split. I don't think Mr. Williams has supported the program as well as Dr. Abernathy would have liked him to in Carolina. So I would be inclined to believe that there may be a split. For the past several weeks, I've been acting as coordinator for SCLC in an effort to aid them in launching the Poor People's Campaign. I am now convinced that the tactics being used by SCLC are not in the interest of the civil rights.
Are there also indications that perhaps the people not quite devoted to Abernathy as to where Dr. King?
Well, what we've got to understand is that you can't compare Dr. Abernathy with Dr. King because he's a one-in-a-lifetime happening. And, of course, Dr. King is different from Dr. Abernathy. They talk differently, they speak differently, and the educational background is different. I think there's total different experiences, so you cannot equate the two together. You have to look at Abernathy as Abernathy. It's just like Moses and Aaron. There of course can never be another Moses, but there's always an Aaron. Mr. Richard Gay were in town, but they have they left, I believe, yesterday.
No, sir, I believe it's still in town.
Are they still in town?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had no knowledge that they were still in town, but I did meet with them and I explained. Well, I think that what they should do is to try to cooperate, if they're going to operate at all, with the local leadership in areas. I'm launching a political education and participation program in Montgomery and the surrounding counties, which the code name is PEP, where it would deal with the problems of political participation of black people. It would be training them how to vote, when to vote, what issues to vote for, and it will train young people who in the future will become voters themselves. And in the process of training the older people to vote and how to vote, they will themselves become voters. And we will launch registration drives, which will begin sometimes next week or so, which is a program that the community is going to be participating in. And I think that this is our basic major emphasis in the South and in Alabama. That is what I'm hoping. Because as I said, the use of the big march, I think at this point, has about played out. And we must move on to other avenues which will gain franchisement and participation for a total community. We must look beyond just a black participation, but the total community. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I was 10, 11, and 12 years of age. I literally sat at his feet. As the Panthers say, we are not aggressors, but we sure God are defenders. We don't believe in violence, nor do we believe in total nonviolence. Remember that? Anybody that believes in total nonviolence is a damn fool. Black power means we want black equality now. We don't want men to hold us cheap. We want the same thing that every American has now. And we've proved that we're willing to die for it. We've died in Watts. We've died in Detroit. We've died in Newark. We've died in Harlem. We died in 126 cities the morning after Martin Luther King was assassinated. We have earned the right from the days of Crispus Attucks until the last black man was killed on the streets of this republic in recent months to say we demand full equality now. We want it in every way. Don't talk to me anymore about let's compromise. Don't say let's mediate. Don't say that education's going to take care of everything. We've been walking around here for over 100 years in the atmosphere of compromising and mediation and education, and when you come back from Vietnam with one arm gone or two legs gone, as I've seen them come back, you come back to the same damn hellholes you lived in before you went over.
1956, Vietnam was one country, and according to the South Vietnamese Constitution, it is one country. To me, the moral issue is joined at that point: what right has the United States to engage in massive, unilateral military intervention in the civil affairs of another country? And of course, it's not working. That's something we've all come to recognize. Because of nationalism being on the other side, and essentially because social justice was on the other side. I don't hold any particular brief for the National Liberation Front of North Vietnam. I'm sure I wouldn't like to study in the University of Hanoi very long. There's not an awful lot of freedom there. But the fact of the matter is that the flag of social justice and the flag of nationalism seem to be carried by the other side.
I'm William Sloan Coffin of Yale University.
Rights which are, after all, at the basis of our democracy. It's perfectly true as you review American history that after the close of every war, those almost every time, therefore it was not he that was guilty of civil disobedience, but rather the second, inordinately concerned with free love and so incredibly indifferent to free hate, that wants to retreat in a nuclear world from the giant issues of the day into the pygmy world of private piety. Irrelevant righteousness is the blood brother of apathy, for it represents an incapacity to give priority to what is important. And therefore there have been many in the church and synagogue in this country who've been terribly anxious to reorganize the agenda of priorities and see at the top of the list the question of war and peace. Now, beyond that, what specifically can be the concerns of the religious community in the areas of war and peace? For one thing, it is terribly important when history presents us with a blood-stained face that we not avert our gaze. And yet that's what we do with breathtaking regularity in wartime. Nietzsche once said, "All truths are bloody for me." And Jeremiah once said, in reaction to a bloody truth, "Oh, my bowels, my bowels." But we in the academic world, and most Americans, want to keep our truths bloodless so our reactions can be gutless. It seems to me that we're at a moment now in our history when we may yet be able to be freed from our paralysis. "My son, your sins are forgiven. Rise, take up your bed and walk." It probably is about 1 minute to midnight. But maybe there's still time for American eyes to be freed to see things in the world the way they really are, not the way we want them to be. Maybe American hands can still be freed to offer aid the way American aid is so desperately needed. And maybe American feet will be freed to walk where once they used to walk with a little more consistency in paths of justice and peace.
I think we might as well face the fact.
Thank you very much.
That unless this onslaught to annihilate the black educators brought to the immediate halt, the next 3 years will be the years of wholesale dismissals and massive demotions. Our current problem must be blamed on an unconcerned public in general and Dr. Ernest Stone in particular, especially as it relates to the Lee versus Macon case, because Dr. Stone has an authority. The courts have designated him as a person to oversee desegregation in Alabama, and he has an obligation to be sure that the court orders carried out. If the state of Alabama can continue to build junior colleges, if the state of Alabama can continue to build branches of other universities, then the state of Alabama is going to have to pay its teachers. I have another little secret that I have shared with only the president of ASTA. He's the only person who knows it. And that is, I am initiating a private suit of my own to continue to keep Auburn University out of Montgomery.
Right? And, well, one thing, when you set up a system where you decide what having it all means, okay? The white supremacists set the value systems up for people all over the world. You know, you wear a suit and a tie, you're a businessman, all right? And, you know, and you can do business because they say this is the business suit. So even people who don't particularly care for the system of white supremacy, who are people of color, they say, well, hey, if you're going to do business, if you're going to be taken seriously, and the only way you can be taken seriously is that you wear a suit, whatever that means. What is a suit? And a tie. And what is a tie for? It's something you put, a piece of cloth that you put around your neck that kind of hangs down from your neck. And what is that all about? Well, you got to have it if you're going to be taken seriously. Okay, according to whom? According to the white supremacists. I'm not sitting down and talking to you and you come in there, I mean, with your pants down and your shoes unlaced and your hair all over going in different directions and whatnot, and you talking about you're a creature to be taken seriously.